On this episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast, we talk about Too Fast for Love by Motley Crue. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Bronze Medalist podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
We're two professional broadcasters. We like metal, and we like to talk about it. And today, we're going back to 1981 for the very first album, the debut album from Glam-Metal band Motley Crue.
Yeah, this was a very green album.
Or perhaps pronounced Motley Crue.
Because it's got umlauts.
Yes.
Right. And that wasn't the initial title of this album. I don't know if you know that or not.
What was the initial title?
It was self-title.
It was just called Motley Crue.
And then people just kept calling it Too Fast for Love, so they're like, fuck it, whatever.
And we'll call it that. We'll talk more about the album later on. First, how are you today?
I'm doing fantastic, thank you.
How's your breathing?
It's okay. I'm yawning. Listen to me yawning into the freaking microphone. Yeah, my breathing is because we had some smoke today. I mean, Western Canada's on fire and we're downwind of that shit. So
yeah, the entire state has been pretty much inundated with a very heavy layer of smoke.
Yeah,
and it was. We had just come out of a rainstorm, and it was a little sunny when I woke up. And walked to work like there was some sun that was shining. And then I read in the forecast that it was supposed to be smoky. And I was like, what the hell are they talking about? It was perfectly fine out there. I saw blue sky. And then I heard, you guys out there while I was recording. I was like, wow, it was really smoky out there. I'm like, what are they talking? And then I walk out and see that like the entire world has changed.
Yeah, exactly.
It's, like we've been transported to downtown Beijing.
Yeah, I wanted to hang meat out the window.
It was just incredibly, incredly smoky.
They told me I can't do that anymore.
You can't do that. You can't hang meat out of the window anymore. I can't hang
meat out the window.
Not at work anyway.
Nope. Yep.
Just smoky as hell. I had an interesting start to my day.
Yeah.
The first thing I see when I wake up and look at my phone is a text message from the property company to the whole building saying that they were temporarily turning the water off. And that text message arrived 2 minutes before I had woken up. The very first thing that I do, and that I feel like a lot of people do,
take a shower
when they wake up in the morning, if they shower in the morning, is take a shower.
Right.
So I feel like it was a weird move by the property company or the maintenance team to decide to turn the water off. For even if it was just for 15 minutes at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Right. Of all the times you could pick.
Like they couldn't wait an hour, a half an hour, wait until it's guaranteed that the 9 to 5 crowd has left the building. I would feel like that's what you would want to do. So I was a little bit more late for work than normal. Not that it was a huge deal, but I was like, well, I'm going to wait until about 10 minutes until, work starts and check to see if I've got water, periodically, because they don't announce when they turn it back on. They announce that they're turning it off as they're turning it off. Right. They don't give you a warning.
And then they don't tell you they're turning it back on.
Yeah. They don't tell you when it's back on.
You just have to you just leave a faucet on.
I guess you could do that.
Yeah.
But I was just laying in my bed because I didn't have anything to do. I guess I could have maybe ate some cereal or something, but I don't really eat breakfast.
Right.
So I was just laying in my bed, like kind of listening for the sounds of people moving in the building.
I was actually a little bit worried about you.
That I was later than normal?
Yeah, you were later than normal.
Because I'm usually there before you.
Well, yeah, it's hit and miss. I mean, sometimes I get there at 8:30, sometimes I get there at 8:40.
Yeah.
But you're there at 8:35.
Yeah, I'm usually there at 8:35. And
right.
it's just I didn't want to go to work without a shower.
Right.
I would have felt gross and nasty all day.
Oh yeah, I can't do that either.
And like, I guess it's my fault for daring to shower in the morning. I don't know. I feel like that's a weird divide with people, whether people are before bed showerers or morning showerers.
So I wake up feeling gross no matter what I do, because I've been wrapped up all night in my own juices.
Yeah.
And now,
I'm in the same boat where it's like, because like I will sweat. Right. When I sleep, and I will end up feeling gross, and I don't want to get dressed and get it. Also, my hair will be a mess. Right. And to me, it's easier to, comb my hair and do that sort of thing after I've had a shower. And I don't want to, if I'm going to be spending the time to just wash my hair, then I might as well do the whole experience. Right. Because it's going to take about the same amount of time. I just washing my hair, I feel like is a pain in the ass, because I don't have, my bathroom is not constructed in such a way as to make it easy to only wash my hair. Right. So I'd rather just take a whole shower.
I don't leave the house unless I smell as fresh as an Irish Spring.
Ah, yes. Yeah. Famously fresh smelling. Those Irish Springs. You actually don't want to drink the water out of Irish Springs because it tastes like soap. Does it really? It's not good. You'll get a stomach ache. Okay. All right. I don't know if it will poison you. I don't know exactly what's in there, but it's like a fresh smelling soap. Right. I don't know exactly what it's made out of. What chemicals are in that water.
I know that reminds me, last night there was the finale for Minot High's choir. So it was 2 hours of choir. And my youngest child was sort of squirming and making noises like, oh my God, there's another song.
Because he was at a choir show.
Because he was at a choir show of high school students singing. And so at one point, I actually, because the only thing I'd eaten that day was an extra spicy beef soup. So my tummy was going stabby from the inside. I'm going, and like this, I'm just and Max, he turns to me and says, "What you need to do when you get home is down a whole bottle of Dawn dish soap. If it's good enough for the ducks, it's good enough to flush your tummy out."
Yes, that seems like a great plan.
Yeah, that's my boy right there.
Hi, Zima. Really attempting to jump up. I feel like for whatever reason that made me think of the argument for drinking bleach in Metalocalypse.
We are mostly water. Bleach is mostly water. Therefore, we are bleach. It's okay to drink bleach.
Which they were years ahead of the curve on the whole consuming bleach thing.
Right. Wow.
I guess they weren't planning on injecting bleach. They were planning on drinking
ingesting
bleach. Ingesting it.
Another thing I'm doing is because I try to do something new every week. At least once a week. I try to get something done every day, but I want to get something new in my repertoire every week. Okay. And this week it's tortillas. I am
are tortillas. You are making homemade tortillas.
Yes. No,
not that the concept of tortillas is new to you.
I'm experiencing tortillas. I've never seen one before.
Never seen one.
Never seen it.
Don't know what it is. You don't know what they are.
Right. Up until like minutes ago, they were tortillas. That's what I thought. Until somebody corrected me. I'm making homemade tortillas.
How's that going?
Good. They're actually resting in a bowl in my kitchen right now. I mean, the dough itself, because it has to rest a little bit, and it rises a little bit,
just a little bit,
just a tiny bit, and then it has to when you press it down, it has to have plenty of give, but it come back like very slow, and you're like
flour tortillas or corn tortillas.
Flour. Oh, I'm not doing corn tortillas yet. No, man, I am not.
Are those more difficult?
It seems like they are. Yeah. Okay. Flour tortillas, I've made flour bread before. Yeah. So I know do that. This is gonna be cool. So I'm gonna stop on the way home and get some chorizo. And
what's chorizo?
Chorizo is It's a sausage. It's Mexican sausage. Spanish or Mexican. It's different in Spain and Mexico. In Spain, it's just like fucking sausage.
Any kind of sausage.
Yeah, well, it's a specific sausage with specific spices in it, but I mean, it's not like you're eating
It's
sausage.
not a special thing.
Right. And in Mexico, it's blow your ass out.
It's incredible. It's incredibly
nice and spicy. Yeah.
Okay, I see.
It's delicious.
Something that reminded me that something was introduced in a Discord chat with my Saturday D&D group where someone mentioned what I believe is incredibly dumb hot take that they heard. I don't know if you can really describe it as a hot take. It's just incorrect. Or okay, it's not incorrect, but it's one of these stupid arguments that's based entirely on a particular understanding, a particular read of like semi-arbitrary vernacular terms.
Okay.
So what they were supposing is that because French is a Romance language, aka a language based on Latin, people from Quebec who speak Quebecois are Latin Americans.
That's a real stretch.
Exactly.
That's an extreme stretch right there.
And I was looking at it because like, okay, what does Latin America refer to? So I looked at the Wikipedia page and like in modern terms, when people say Latin America, what they mean is Central America.
Right.
Historically, it could also be used to mean large portions of the Caribbean and all of South America as well. But today, whenever you hear someone say Latin America, they're talking about Southern North America.
Right.
They're talking about Mexico and south to Panama.
Right, where they speak Latin.
Where they speak Latin. Yeah.
Right.
But like French, you can kind of it's considered a Romance language, but French is a lot more like English than people give it credit for, in the sense that it's a horrifying Frankenstein of a language.
It's a horrifying Frankenstein, and you've touched on something there, probably accidentally. It's more Frankish.
Yeah, well, because the word France comes from the Franks, who were a Germanic-speaking people,
right? Who occupied France occupied Gaul for a very long time.
After the fall of the Roman Empire, during the migration period, the Franks migrated into what would become France.
That's why if you're speaking Spanish and you're speaking French, you don't fucking understand each other. Yeah, because French is a very different language than any of the other Romance languages.
But and so part of like in theory, because it did also like the term Latin America would sometimes be used to include certain Caribbean countries.
Sure,
you could in theory call Haiti a part of Latin America, but no one ever. I've never heard anyone refer to Haiti or really the rest of the Caribbean as Latin America. The Caribbean, in my mind, is always referred to as its own thing,
right? Regardless
of what language is used on that particular island, whether it's Spanish or French. It's its own thing. When I hear Latin America, I think Central America.
Yeah. My aunt was Latin American.
Yeah,
she was from El Salvador. So
I hate arguments like that, where when anyone can support like a really dumb position by like pointing out a really specific read of these like arbitrary sorts of terms.
Yeah. And, even if you do stretch it that far, now all you're doing is missing the fucking point.
Yeah.
That's all.
I feel like most of the time people are trolling.
Yeah.
It's like I always get way too annoyed by whenever someone brings up the arguments like, are hot dogs sandwiches or tacos? And I'm like, I don't fucking care. Everyone else in this room is going to spend 45 minutes debating it, and it doesn't fucking matter. And I'm tired of hearing about it.
Right.
It's like, I hate it. But it was just a bizarre take, I felt. It's like, yes, all those Latin Americans up in Canada.
Right. Which I guess by extension, then Cajuns would be
sure, yeah,
Latin Americans.
Maybe the Quebecois would be happy about that because then they could distance themselves from being Canadian. See, we're not Canadian.
Yeah.
We're not a part of Canada. We would like to petition to join Latin America instead of being in Canada anymore.
My ex-wife used to bitch about that all the time.
What, that the
Quebecois? She used to because
want to be their own country.
They want to be their own country, but we still want to use the national healthcare system,
yes,
the money, the military protection, and all the other stuff.
Quebec is the fucking Texas of Canada.
Yeah.
Like, just relax.
The Texas of Canada.
They think they're so different and special, but you guys are still part of the country. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, unfortunately, I guess they have more of a case than Texas does. Sure. At least they speak a different language.
Yeah, they're culturally different in some way.
Yeah. Texas is just like...
they kind of speak a different language.
Kind of. Uh-huh. Well, large portions of the population of the entire southwestern United States speak a different language, that language being Spanish.
Right, yeah. Sure.
But you don't see all of those people going like, we don't want to be a part of the United States anymore.
Right.
You don't see Southern California trying to secede.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, a lot of the population there would be like, we worked real hard
to get here in the first place.
Do not secede.
We want to be here.
Yeah.
That was the whole point.
Right.
Yeah, it's I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I thought it was a fucking dumb argument. But then it gave me an excuse to look up language bullshit for a while,
mm-hmm.
which we've talked about our mutual fascination with etymology many times.
Yes, I love bugs.
Yes. Yeah. I feel like I do get a tickle out of entomology because that just makes me think you're studying tree people. Just taking a look at Treebeard and his pals.
What is the real scientific name of this creature? I can tell you, but it's going to take a few days.
It's going to take a very long time. Don't be hasty. Well, the real scientific name of the creature is Fangorn.
Fangorn. Sure. Okay. All right.
Not the scientific name.
No.
The fantastic name of the creature is Fangorn rather than Treebeard. But he's a tree with a beard, so it's easier to call him Treebeard.
Treebeard.
Incredibly creative naming on Tolkien's part.
Right.
He worked so hard on so many other names, and they're like, what do I call this tree with a beard?
Right. And you have to wonder in the middle of creating the Ents, at some point he had a problem with a woman in his life, and he's like, bitches be tripping, and so he made it so that all the female Ents had fucked
just
off,
disappeared. I feel like Tolkien had a very very traditional sort of view of women, but also a very romantic sort of view.
Yeah.
So I feel like that was sort of a thing of like, well, all their women are gone, so they're fucked.
Yeah.
Because like that's the viewpoint of all the Ents is like, we don't know where the women are at, and we think we're all gonna die.
Right.
We're all just going to disappear and die because our wives left and we don't know where they are or how to find them.
Yeah. And I don't know where my socks are.
So we're kind of screwed because we don't know how to do anything without them.
Don't know how to fend for myself.
All we've got now is to go grab a bunch of rocks and throw them at this old wizard.
Right.
And we'll go and do that. And that'll be the last time anyone writes anything about Ents ever in the history of this world.
Now that the women are gone, they have to get their own apartment and buy furniture and learn to make tortillas on a Wednesday.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is the one thing I wish, because like there's various little bits and pieces of information about like the Fourth Age.
Yeah.
What happens after the War of the Ring and whatnot. I really wish there was anything about like the Ents and what happened, because like there's seemed to be some indication. Zima, you're being disruptive. Like there was a hobbit in Fellowship who mentions having seen like a tree that was walking. More so than like, because there are the trees in the old forest that like move around that Tom Bombadil has to save the hobbits from. But there was like a mention of something that sounded very Ent-like. And I think Sam or Pippin or someone, one of the hobbits brings that up to Treebeard. And that's never followed up on. Like, I think maybe it's probably Merry or Pippin brings that up to Treebeard. Like, maybe that's where the Entwives are. Maybe they went to the Shire. And that's never followed up on.
You never get the answer to that.
There's never an answer of like what actually happened to the Entwives, to the point where like it seems like it's probably very bleak, because like if you look at like Tolkien Gateway or whatever, which is sort of the good wiki, the indication seems to be that they're all just fucking dead. That Sauron just fucking killed all of them.
Really?
And that's sad.
You know those trebuchets they show up with?
That's what they were made out
of.
He needed wood.
Right.
I started a new game plus playthrough of the Dead Space remake.
Good.
And I think it's kind of ironic. The game is a lot scarier when you are rushing your way through it.
Sure.
Like the way that I was playing it the first time is the way that one probably ought to play horror games, which is being slow, methodical. Like it's a survival horror game. You got to gather like resources. You got to explore every nook and cranny to find things. And I was being slow and methodical. I was taking my time. I was keeping an eye out for ambushes. And I started the New Game Plus playthrough. And, you know, you don't start with all of your weapons or any ammo, but like you pick up the plasma cutter, which I have almost fully upgraded, and like that carries over. And after that, I was immediately like, all right, I've got this, action hero time, and started like running into rooms, and a couple of things genuinely scared the shit out of me because I was like not taking my time and like anticipating things. So it's weirdly enough scarier on a second playthrough, even though I finished my first playthrough a week ago. That's kind of odd. That's how that worked out.
So so you got the ectomorphs jumping out at you.
The ecto cooler.
The ecto cooler.
They're a bunch of ghosts, and they all have Ghostbusters branded High C juice boxes for me.
Well, an ectomorph is just someone who is overweight.
Oh, I suppose.
Yeah.
See, I was thinking of
ecto cooler, right?
Which I guess
the Ghostbusters High C crossover
tells you what you need to know about me. That my thought was a sugary drink,
right?
Like now that I've thought about a sugary drink. That's now I'm in you mode right now. Apparently, where all I can think of is something to put in my body. To eat, to drink, to consume.
Yeah, because I mean, you said is a hot dog a taco earlier, and I'm like, go for a hot dog about now.
I don't. I feel like I could like. It depends on the kind of hot dog, but like Cloverdale Reds. I feel like I've always got room for one or two of those.
That's because there's nothing to them.
They're made of nothing.
Right.
Like they go down super easy.
I'm almost positive there's no meat in there.
Oh, certainly, but they're great.
Yeah.
They should be awful. They should be terrible.
Actually, they are awful. Literally.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, that's what you did there.
Yeah, I don't mean
like they should be terrible, but they're amazing. I love them.
Sure.
I will eat a whole plate.
I couldn't finish one.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't like Cloverdale Reds?
It's the texture. The texture's a problem for me. I like
not even over a campfire.
Okay, if it's over a campfire and I've had 2 or more beers, I'll eat anything that's a food item.
Okay,
you throw at me. I'm sure I've done it, but like just right now, I couldn't get through a whole one.
I'm of the type where like I I don't really care for hot dogs other than Cloverdale Reds, because that's what we always had.
Who you grew up with.
And like a number, like every other like brand of hot dogs that I've tried, it's like it doesn't taste right to me,
right?
Because it tastes like something.
Right.
The Cloverdale Reds don't taste like anything.
I grew up with Oscar Mayer beef. That's what I got.
Yeah, they don't I'll take pretty much any kind of brat.
Oh, sure.
Like any kind of brat I'm perfectly fine with, because that's actually something.
Right.
That's actually a meal item right there. That's got something in it.
Don't exactly know what, but
it's more substantial. Some care went into that. It wasn't.
Right.
It was slightly. I mean, it still went through a machine, but there was more care about what was being put into the machine.
Its development was thought out
rather than just a slurry.
Right, it's a slurry.
Various proteins.
Right, a slurry that started with a broom.
Yeah, like
clean this place up and then make hot dogs.
Brats are like I'll eat any kind of brat. Brats are I think brats are fantastic.
Brats are great. Are you a mustard brat person or?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good.
Mustard and ketchup.
Usually. Oh, you put ketchup on a brat?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
I put ketchup on fucking everything. I'll put ketchup on pretty much anything that's made of meat. Practically, I will. I know there are certain.
What about the cat? The cat's made of meat. Will you put ketchup on the cat?
No, fucking Robert De Niro.
I've got nipples.
I've got nipples, Greg. Can you milk me? No, I mean, if I was eating her and she was, if I don't want to talk about eating my cat while I'm touching her,
right?
I wouldn't eat you.
No,
but you definitely eat me.
Oh yeah,
if given the chance.
Oh sure, certainly.
She wouldn't even wait until the food bowl was empty.
Yeah, your body wouldn't be cold yet. If you died,
I wouldn't even be dead yet.
Yeah.
She'd just be like, your breathing's a little bit more shallow than normal. Chomp.
You've slept a little too long today.
Time to bite your nose off.
Go right for the jugular.
Yep. You go straight for it. The look she's giving me right now is not dissuading that idea. But yeah, what are you perturbed by? You seem perturbed by something.
I don't know. I've never really examined
futzing about with my journal over there.
Yeah, I'm not going to open it. I really admire the cover.
Yeah,
the leather.
It's a nice journal.
Well, I mean, I don't know how you get human skin to be that tough like that. I mean, tanning.
It takes a little while. Which oddly enough reminds me.
Speaking of
stretching
human flesh over a book,
books bound in human skin. That like actually though, I know it'll make sense in a second. On last Thursday, for my Saturday D&D group, we had a person who was on vacation for like a month.
Oh, wow.
And so her character had like left to go take care of like some personal things for a while. And me and like, cause we, trade off who's DMing, we had like discussed like, okay, what's been happening to this character? What do they need to go and do? And like she was like orphaned and she has no memories of her family. And like, she doesn't know where she came from. She can't it became clear that there are memories that are missing that she should have, but she can't remember anything.
Okay.
And so we're like, all right, so, like, where did she come from? Also, she's an Aasimar, which are like part angel humans. And she's specifically a fallen Aasimar, but she's always like a very happy and chipper and very nice sort of person. So it's like, so why is she like that?
And they really like quiet sounds.
Yes. Yeah. Anyway, it's like, why is she fallen if she is such a good person?
Oh, wow.
And so there was a different character that we had I had made for this sort of background thing of like these two big groups of villains were clashing, and we were going to do a PvP game. And so I had made this Oathbreaker Paladin Hexblade multi-class.
Nice.
Who was also a Fallen Aasimar, but really fucking old. And was like, what if she's descended from this guy who his like hobby, his pastime is, Roose Bolton style flaying people alive. And then his little twist on it is writing down all of their confessions from the torture session into a book and then binding that book in their skin.
Wow, this sounds like a great guy.
Yeah, he's a real. I mean, look, the assignment was make a horrible, reprehensible bad guy, and I was like, cool, got it, easy.
I do hope at some point you've said, explain to me your confessions. Please do try to be honest, as this is for posterity.
He has a very rough Russian accent. He does.
Yeah.
Because he's also from a part of the world that we very much based on, like Imperial Russia.
Gotcha.
Mixed with the Soviet Union as well, just because that's an easy shorthand for a totalitarian state.
Right.
And also it's in the north and cold and very big. So all of the things just kind of aligned to be like,
right.
All right, we're just going to make this Russia.
By the way, that's my my youngest child there. Whenever he's playing a horror game with one of his other friends, I mean, and they're young, they're 11 years old, almost 12. But whenever they get into someplace, they find that if they just start speaking with a Russian accent, it's less scary.
Because, I mean, yeah, I guess. Because, I don't know.
You can pretend that, no, it's not scary.
They're unflippable, you know. This is fine.
Yes.
Because they live in such horror all the time.
Right. And
the horror of having to live in Russia.
I'm smoking pack of stolen Marlboro. I'm wearing a tracksuit.
Having
two guns.
to live in a country that cares so little about your life.
Right.
That they can't figure out that maybe invading Ukraine was a bad idea and won't work out well for them. But anyhow, yeah. So that way went really well. I ended up running the whole session of this character going and finding out all these things about herself.
What'd you find out?
Well, she found out that she was related to this dude, and also that her dad had gone to like confront him because it was like the great shame of their family. And there's a different like evil necromancer who is the guy that killed my character's girlfriend, who has been looking at this other character whose session it was. He considers her like a prospective like apprentice and has been trying to like corrupt her for a long time. And so this has been a process that's been going on since she was like a baby.
You guys do more story in this group than we do in ours.
Well, that's because there are 5 of us that are always, coming up with and contributing to the story and coming up with ideas. On Sunday, it's just me. And if I don't have ideas, then the ideas don't happen.
Did you want us to start doing that? We can.
I don't know.
To bring stuff to the table?
Well, it's the sort of thing where like that campaign it's different.
Right.
It's a very different sort of animal than what I wanted our Sunday group to be. Like we set it up from the beginning to be a collaborative sort of thing, whereas I feel like if we were going to do that on Sunday, we would need to start a new campaign.
Perhaps, yeah.
Like it's the way things have gone. It's just not particularly conducive to just opening it up to everybody and like, all right, now you DM. Because also like there are like big secrets in my world that you guys play in on Sunday. And when everybody DMs, it's hard to have big secrets like that because you need to tell the other dungeon masters about those secrets so they don't step on your shit. So they don't like accidentally step on your territory or like reveal some big thing that contradicts what you had planned. And so it's a delicate sort of balance that also requires some it requires suspending some of the mystery between different members of the group.
All right, I'm DMing this week. Well, and as it turns out, all the orcs have left Noomdurl.
Yeah, like I mean that sort of thing doesn't happen, and like we all kind of have our own sort of semi-quarantined sort of storylines from each other. But the other thing about it is like our party is based in this one city, and that's where we spend the vast majority of our time. Like we go out and we go on trips to other places, but we always come back. Whereas I much more imagined like our group on Sunday being the sort of group that's going to be almost continuously traveling,
which we are,
throughout the entire continent, so you can go and see the whole world.
Right.
Like you guys have a home base, but most of the time you guys are out traveling and you know, seeing to different problems and adventuring. And like we knew for my Saturday group, we knew that we were going to do this collaborative thing, and I had just seen. There was like a Critical Role one shot where they owned a bar and they were playing like a homebrewed like Elder Scrolls game. And I was like, hey, wouldn't it be kind of cool if we owned a tavern? Like instead of like, oh, you guys all meet in a tavern. It's like,
this is our place.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, we all met in a tavern because we're buying this place and we're going to fix it up.
We met here to appraise it and
we're going to put it back together, and this is going to be our thing. We're all investing in this together, and then adventures just kind of start happening.
Right.
And like that was really cool, and it gives us like a lot of, you know, motivation to stick around in this one place and to help defend it and make it safe, but also has made for a very different style of campaign than like a type of campaign that I've never gotten to play in is the one that I'm running for you guys on Sunday.
Oh, really?
Of like a long running campaign where you're always traveling and you're always going to new places and like the world is massive and huge and you can go and explore, and every little nook and cranny has got all these different things that can be happening in it. And you just you go where the adventure takes you.
So you've never got to do that?
No, because almost every campaign I've played in other than my Saturday one has lasted 6 months, and it was designed to last that long.
Ah, gotcha.
Like most of them have been extremely combat heavy and pretty short. And I haven't really gotten to do I mean, in my head, the Critical Role style of campaign. Like it or not, that's sort of the archetype, more or less.
Right.
Speaking of archetypes.
Yes.
One of the most important bands in the history of rock and roll and heavy metal, at least where the 1980s are concerned.
Yeah. And somewhat the 90s.
And into the 90s a little bit, is Motley Crue. You know, one of the biggest names in just rock throughout the 80s and into the 90s, and certainly in the realm of glam metal and glam rock. Motley Crue. I don't know. They're a band that like I don't actually know a ton of the mythos around them, other than they did a lot of drugs. Like I haven't watched The Dirt. Just because I'm not particularly interested in the story of Motley Crue.
Yeah, it's a good, even if you don't care. I mean, it's still a fun story, and it's not like I've heard it said it's like 70% accurate.
Yeah, I heard that as well. But like, yeah, they're a band whose history I'm not like deeply familiar with. And you know, their origins, I guess, are not particularly special. You know, there's just some musicians who had been doing some other things that got together and started making music, basically.
Yeah, I mean, at least some of Mick had been doing other things. Yeah, but I mean, the rest, when they were initially recorded this album, I think Tommy was 18. Vince was 19.
Yeah, they were very young as well. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Six was 22. And during the recording of this, Mick turned 30. He was by far
the oldest member of the band.
Right.
Well, I know Nikki Sixx. I did a little bit of reading. Nikki Sixx had been in a previous band called Sister.
Right.
That had broken up, I think, or he had left the band or whatever, and he met I think he met Tommy Lee.
Yeah.
And they started like jamming together, and then I don't know how it came together after that.
Yeah, and apparently they auditioned guitarists and everybody sucked, and Mick was kind of a dick to everybody, but
but he was
good.
He could play.
Yeah, and then I guess they saw Vince sing somewhere else, and they poached him from another band that was like just local, playing at a bar mitzvah or something somewhere. Yeah,
I'm imagining today's Vince Neil singing at a bar mitzvah. I don't know. That's very funny to me.
Yeah.
I think it's a very similar story to a lot of other very big rock bands that would get started at around that time of just a bunch of, mostly pretty young guys getting together. And then you have Mick, who's obviously quite a bit older than the other members of the band. But
and I love that it was actually said at one point, I think it was by their manager, said in an interview or whatever, if you step away from your girl and then Motley Crue has sex with your girlfriend, it's really kind of on you. You should have known better.
You should have known better.
Yeah.
They were yeah, I don't know. My brain.
Your brain
stopped working there. So yeah, this album, they put it together. Originally came out on Leather Records,
right?
Before they had signed to Elektra,
right?
Which I feel like that was a pretty big step up,
huge step,
a pretty massive leap.
Because they re-recorded a lot of this for Elektra. What you're hearing now is
the Elektra version,
right? The Elektra version.
I don't know if the original version can be found streaming anywhere, probably on YouTube, I guess.
Right. I mean, they pressed 900 copies of it.
So, I mean, I feel like those are probably pretty valuable. I would reckon. But I wonder if there's any 8-track versions of it available.
The original?
Yeah.
I don't know if they put it out on 8-track.
I suppose. What's the timeline of 8-track? Or cassettes even.
Well, cassettes actually came out in the 70s.
Yeah.
They didn't really hit their full stride to the 80s there.
Okay.
Their full stride. And 8-tracks predated cassettes, of course.
Okay.
I had several things on 8-track. I had the Car Wash soundtrack. I had the Eagles' Greatest Hits on 8-track.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell else? Oh, I had a toy called 2XL. He was a robot who is a trivia robot. And all of his...
More on 8-track tapes.
Everything was on 8-track tape. You jammed it in the front of him and it had 4 buttons. Yeah.
Can you straighten out your microphone?
Is that bothering you?
Yes, it is. This is at a weird angle.
I can't see it because there's a windscreen there.
Well.
But yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but I had this on cassette. I bought this. I bought this in the Philippines.
Of course.
I bought this and Shout at the Devil and Theater of Pain.
Is that the first 3 albums?
Yes.
Okay. What at the time, what were your thoughts on this album?
I thought this was great. I enjoyed the energy of it. I still really love Mick's guitar sound on this.
Yeah.
Sounds like a kind of a wet buzzsaw. I mean, it's
a wet buzzsaw.
Yeah. It just had that real like it was coughing at you. Great guitar sound. And I like that we're about the same age.
Mm-hmm.
When this came out, when this came out, I was 7, but which is not much younger than Tommy Lee was at the time.
Sure. Yeah. Not that much younger. I mean, it's one of those things where that is only a 9-year difference. Where now if someone's 9 years older than you,
well, 11 years. Yeah.
11.
Yeah.
Math. I can't math. I can't math.
I know you can't math. Yeah. But anyway, yeah.
Now it's not that big of a difference, but the difference between 7 and 18.
Right. Quite a bit different.
Quite a bit different.
I was getting way less pussy than he was.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you think about it now? I
listened to it again, of course, for this, and I'm going, wow, I didn't realize how kind of clumsy they were as musicians at the time. You know, and I give them the excuse that they were raw, they were green. They were young kids who had no real idea what they were doing. They were just doing it loud and fast. And
they weren't Motley Crue as we would come to know them yet. Like,
right.
You know, you hear something on the radio. Like I don't think we have anything from this album on our station.
We don't.
You know, everything that I don't know what the earliest album of theirs that we have anything off of.
Do we have Home Sweet Home?
Yeah,
right? Is that on there? That's
Home.
off of Theater of Pain.
Okay.
So that's their third album. I think that's the earliest thing we have in our.
Yeah. And like I would definitely agree with you where it's like it is odd to me, and I think it's just sort of a different genres and different kinds of bands where like there are a lot of other debut albums that I feel like are way more well developed from bands like of this era and of a similar stature. But I think a lot of those other bands were a lot older.
Yeah, older as people and had better technology. This is back in 1981.
Well, but even like among some of their contemporaries at the time, like debut albums that are like maybe not sonically the greatest, but were like more a bit more put together or a bit more.
Plus, it was less money behind this as well.
Yeah. I guess what I'm trying to say is like I didn't really know what to expect going in this, but like other than the Motley Crue that I've heard, which is obviously from later in their career and so much more bombastic and has so much more going on, and this feels so quaint compared to like everything that would come later, where the sound is so much more full. They've got like the so much more experience going on.
By the time you get to Girls, I mean, everything's kind of changed.
There's a lot more. There's, this is something you can imagine being played for a huge crowd at a stadium, with pyrotechnics and everything. And this sounds like a group of kids plus Mick, who, were playing tiny little bar rooms, and that's what they were doing at the time.
Right.
So it's like I didn't quite know exactly what to expect. I think the musicianship was really good. And like, the experience on the guitar definitely shows. One of the things that bugged the ever living shit out of me is that it seems like Vince Neil didn't understand that a chorus can consist of more than just the title of the song repeated over and over and over again.
Yeah, he did that a lot.
You could rhyme something with the title of the song and put that in between. You don't have just two different lines. I'm not asking for that much. Like, take me to the top.
Sure. And then throw me over. That's in there.
But most of the chorus is just take me to the top. Right. Take me to the top. Take me to the top.
Right.
Take me to the top. Like say like something I'll never stop, or like fucking rhymes. Like God, like every other song, the chorus was just the title of the song, and it wore out its welcome every time.
Get a piece of your action.
Like, like, fuck me. Like that really bothered me.
I'm alive.
Multiple times I was going, say something else now.
I'm a live wire. That's all.
Just say something else now, please. Change the lyrics for just a second. I'm so tired of hearing this.
Like the final track though, that he does switch up a little bit. He gets on with the show. Come on, baby. No. Oh my. My.
Yeah, it's that bothered me quite a lot. And it is a little interesting to me because I feel like, I don't pay attention. I don't pay super close attention when I'm hearing a Motley Crue song at work. But I feel like on this, because I was paying closer attention, you can kind of hear where the with hindsight, you can kind of hear where the problems would be with Vince Neil's singing style, in the sense that like he has never particularly cared to enunciate super clearly as he sings.
Right.
And that has, I think, really become a problem.
It has snowballed.
And that problem has only gotten bigger and bigger and bigger as he's gotten older.
You mean he has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger
as
he's gotten older? Yeah.
That has also happened to him. But I mean, that
ectomorph.
Yeah. That can look, the man's getting older.
Sure. It happens a lot. It's happened to me.
It happens to everybody, but
it'll happen to you.
I feel like, and obviously, a big part of the history of Motley Crue is a shitload of substance abuse, and that doesn't do any favors for your vocal cords.
Right.
But his ability to perform and have it sound good has deteriorated so drastically.
Because if you play an actually manufactured instrument, you can get your way through that as an older person. But if your voice is your instrument, it's made of meat.
Yep, you gotta really take care of that.
Right, exactly.
And it's not always easy. But I feel like he's taken such a weird path to try and he does the weirdest fucking he sounds so weird as he's performing now, where it doesn't even sound like he's trying to say the words. He's just desperately trying to hit the notes. And I don't know a ton about singing, but you could just maybe take it down a couple of steps. Just don't sing it as high. You can sing the same notes, but not as high. I think that's a thing in music, right?
Yeah, you can do it an octave lower.
Yeah, he could do that. But instead, he's doing this weird sort of fucking thing that he does, and it sounds so goddamn weird.
I think it would be awesome to hear Motley Crue go on stage and do live. He's the one you call Dr. Feelgood. He's the one who makes me all right.
Everyone goes an octave down, and suddenly it becomes a ghost song.
Rammstein, or
yes. Who the fuck is their new the guy who stepped in for Mick Mars? He's from
John 5.
Yeah, John 5. Where did he come from again?
Hey, he's played in a lot of bands.
I'm trying to remember where the thing that I read. I got their page open here.
John 5 has played in a ton of shit.
John 5. It is odd to me that now you've got Nikki 6 and then John 5.
Right.
Are we going to have Dave 3? I think Rob Zombie is where I recognize
Ted 4
from. Yeah, Ted 4.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is also kind of funny that for a long time, Mick Mars's bones were literally fusing together, and he still sounded better on stage. He was more put together performing than Vince Neil.
Right. He's retired now. He's done.
He retired last year, which obviously, of course he would. But what condition does he have?
I forgot what it's called. But yeah, his bones are slowly fusing together and have been his whole life.
That's just nightmarish. That's just sounds terrible. Trying to see what the ankylosing spondylitis.
It's weird that I didn't remember that.
Yeah. So how did that not come to mind immediately?
That should just flow right off the tongue.
But does this album slap?
Well, yeah. Slaps.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it slaps. Out of 5 reviews on the Wikipedia page anyway, came out at 76.6. Received mostly favorable reviews when it came out.
Right.
I don't think it was the biggest thing in the world necessarily, but it definitely set the stage for continued success for the band. Later on, when they would be the biggest thing in the world, it wasn't a massive surprise to everybody. They didn't come out of nowhere. Like,
Right.
They didn't quietly release a few okay albums and then suddenly they were the biggest thing in the world. It seems like it was a pretty steady ramp.
Because they did this and everybody was like, hey, this is really good. Oh, we like this band. Let's pay attention to this band. And then they released Shout at the Devil and everybody was like, oh, shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And then Theater of the Pain was better. And Theater of the Pain.
Theater
of the Pain. And then,
Pain Theater.
And then their fourth album, which was Mrs. Garrett's favorite album.
Okay.
Girls.
Girls.
You have no way of getting that joke.
No,
There's
I
no
don't.
possible way. There was this show called Facts of Life in the 1980s, and Mrs. Garrett ran this home for wayward girls.
Okay.
And she was all there. They would be fighting, and then she'd come into the room going, girls, girls, girls.
I feel like that sounds vaguely familiar.
Yeah.
I've probably been exposed to something.
Yeah.
To that effect. But yeah. And then after that, number 5 was Dr. Feelgood, right?
Yeah, it was Dr. Feelgood, correct.
So what's your favorite song on the album?
Man, it's kind of hard to say. I mean, I think that the song that resonated most with me was Merry Go Round.
Okay.
I don't know, for some reason it was just this really sort of sentimental sounding song.
Yeah.
Which I appreciated when we were talking about using a girl and throwing her away.
Oh, God. Yeah, that's the...
Yeah.
It took me, it was like, is he being facetious when he's talking about it being a sentimental song?
Yeah.
Instrumentally, I like that quite a bit.
Yeah.
That is another one of those songs, though, that the chorus is all just the title of the song.
Right. But that's basically all the songs.
Yeah, I know. Maybe a theme is coming together here that I didn't super enjoy the album necessarily.
Sure.
My favorite song, I will say, was On With the Show.
Oh, sure.
I really liked all the guitar solos. The guitar work was just absolutely fantastic.
That is a great song.
What medal are you bestowing upon this album?
I mean, I give this a silver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm calling it a low silver for me. This doesn't deserve a bronze. I didn't I didn't dislike the album, but again, there were so many times where I was just like, just say something else. Or just have the chorus not be so fucking long. There was a lot of them where I felt like they went on for way too long. Part of it was probably because it was all the same word.
Right.
But another part of it was like, this feels like it's about 20 seconds too long. They could have ended this chorus a long time ago. I got the point.
And the thing is as far as rock and metal goes, when I heard this, I was 13 years old.
Yeah.
And it had been out for 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
And all of the music, that you've heard in your lifetime, I mean...
Yeah, I know. I know what you're going to say.
Yeah,
You've said it 1,000 times before.
I have said it 1,000 times before. I mean, if you go back far enough, things were different.
Yeah. But that doesn't make me enjoy the album more.
You're right. Yeah. Because at this point, we're talking about our personal perspective.
Yeah.
So, that makes sense. You go, I didn't care for this.
It's like, I can recognize that this was special and it was groundbreaking.
Right.
And also that, the whole chorus thing, there are a million other artists that do that shit as well. And I don't know. Maybe it's just
you
because...
You wouldn't listen to them either. I know.
I probably wouldn't. But I guess it's not the kind of music that I really seek out. But I think I was mainly bothered by this because I was intending to listen to it. I feel like if a lot of these songs just came on while I was in a garage, if I was at my uncle's shop down at the lake, and these songs came on while we were listening to the radio,
they'd be background.
Yeah, I wouldn't be bothered by them. We're like, oh, hey, that's Motley Crue. This is a good song.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be bothered. But because I was sitting here in my apartment by myself with my headphones in, focusing on the music, it bothered me. And I couldn't get away from it. It was all encompassing. Everywhere I looked, all I could hear was Motley Crue. Because I was listening to them. I had the headphones in. That was the point.
But we delivered the bomb.
What?
Sorry.
What?
Sorry, you were starting to get into the speech from Jaws.
Okay.
My God, we're forgetting the character's name. Robert Quint.
Quint. Quint.
Robert Shaw was the actor.
Yes. He's talking about the USS Indianapolis.
Right.
So that was the metal we talked about. We gave it the metal. And now next week, I know what we're listening to next week.
Yeah, I know exactly what we're listening to next week as well.
We're listening to Terracite by Cattle Decapitation. Brand new album released by them.
Which I've listened to 4 times already.
I've only listened to it once.
Yeah.
But I will listen to it a number of more times before next week, and we will talk about it.
And a coworker of mine, by the way, some weeks ago, was making fun of likes heavy metal music as a child who likes it more, and then she was making fun of the fact that there's a band called Cattle Decapitation.
Yeah,
and then while I'm standing there, I said, "They got a new fucking album coming out. You should really listen to it." She's like, "What? Dope. You serious? You've heard? You know of this band like personally? You've actually listened to them on purpose?" I'm like.
The other week, I had a friend of mine listen to a band called Death Fucking Cunt. That's what you should have said. It's like, you can't be... Cattle Decapitation is not the weirdest named band by far that we're aware of. And also, it's pure irony, too. Right, because they're vegetarians. Most of them former vegans, but being a vegan while being in a touring death metal band is hard
and probably expensive.
So they're like, we'll just commit to vegetarianism because that's easier.
Right. Butter and cheese and milk are fine. Maybe eggs.
Yeah. It's hard to find vegan things at a gas station in Ohio.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, next week, Terracite by Cattle Decapitation. So until you hear from us next Wednesday, or I guess whatever day of the week you listen on, why don't you go ahead and follow us on Facebook or on Twitter, and we'll post new episode links there if that's how you prefer to get updates on new episodes when they come out. Otherwise, just subscribe to our feed on whatever service you're using to listen to us right now. So, until you hear from us again, thank you very much for listening to the Bronze Metalist Podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
Congratulations!